If you're a salon or spa owner working nonstop, barely paying yourself, and terrified to step away because it might all fall apart, you're not alone. Most salon and spa owners were never taught the business side of this industry, and that makes it feel impossible to get ahead. Welcome to the station, where we give you the structure, systems, and strategies to step into the CEO seat and lead like the legend you are. Hey friends, welcome back to the station. I'm Bree, founder of the Beauty Biz Agency, and as always, I've got my amazing co-host, Chandra, co-founder, bestie, all of the things wrapped in one here with me today. Hey girl, how are you?
Hello, doing really good today.
Awesome. Well, today was a full day, so I'm kind of running on fumes, not gonna lie. But I think the topic for today is going to be culture and what many people think culture actually is, it isn't. So we're going to talk about the kind of culture that makes or breaks your salon or spa business. Culture is not your playlist, right? It's not your group chat. It's not how well everybody gets along when things are going good. Culture is the standard. It's what happens when you're not standing there as the owner, being a part of everything or not just watching everything that's going on, right? It's the stylist who strolls in late and nothing gets said. It's the gossip that you ignore because you just don't want to get into an argument that day. It's the top earner who acts out and you excuse it because they bring in the most money. Every single time you don't address something, you are telling your team, this is fine. And once it's fine, that becomes the culture that you have in your studio. That's really, really important to understand. Culture is what repeats in the salon day after day, all the time. And as leaders, we don't recognize that enough. Chandra, why do you think we see culture as something completely different than what it actually is?
I think we just don't always understand the idea of what culture means. Like, we think we have this amazing culture because we have this team and they're there and they show up, but they are not 100% committed. They're not 100% all in. They're not all moving in the same direction toward the same goal. And I think that's what culture is. And I think that people kind of miss that's the biggest part of it. They just think it's having these people here and they're fun.
Yeah, 100%. It's so different, and I'm not gonna lie, that's what I thought culture was, right? I thought the aesthetics of my building were part of my culture. I didn't know when I first started out. I mean, it's it's what we're taught. It's kind of what we think that definition is, and it isn't. Okay, before we dive in too deep, we wanna share with you about one of our BBA members who came in completely frustrated to our program. Her team was talented, but the salon always felt off. There was always a lot of tension. There were cliques. The veterans, they didn't mesh well with the new stylist. And she told herself, you know what? It's just growing pains. It's going to settle. But it didn't. It actually kept getting worse and worse. So finally, she pulled her team together. She owned the fact that she had been letting things slide. We walked her through exactly how to do this. And then she laid out the standard. This is who we are moving forward. This is what we're not doing anymore. She really had to lay it out black and white. Now, she did lose one of her stylists, but she got her culture back. Within 1 month, retention in her studio improved, pre-booking went up, and the entire energy of the salon shifted in a way that really she had always dreamt of. Chandra, why do you think so many owners wait so long to address the culture issues, even when they know that there is a big, big problem there?
I think they're afraid of confrontation. They're afraid of rocking the boat. They think if they address one thing that might even be a small thing at the time, everybody's going to get upset and quit or something. And I think they're just afraid. They're afraid to put their foot down and hold the line.
Yeah, 100%. And let's be honest, us salon owners, we're not great at the black and white. We're just not. We kind of live in that gray area all the time, and it can be detrimental to your business if you're not careful. So here's what we want all of you guys to understand. The culture you have right now is the culture that you've been willing to live with. Culture doesn't come from a mission statement. It doesn't come from a retreat. It comes from the choices that you make as an owner every single second of every single day, right? All of those things that we said in the beginning. Somebody comes in late, you let it slide. You're setting that culture. When you walk past gossip in the broke room and you don't stop it, you just set your culture. When you hold one stylist accountable or one esthetician accountable, but you let the other one off the hook every time, you just set your culture. You don't get the culture you want. You get the culture that you lead. And here's where I think owners tend to get stuck. It's not that we don't care that we have a bad culture or that we don't want a better culture. It's that we get tired. We get really, really tired. We want to keep the peace, like Chandra said. We're afraid to lose our top performers. We are stretched too thin. So instead of culture, we choose comfort. But avoiding conflict, that's never going to create peace in the long run. You know that in your personal life. It's no different in business, right? It creates resentment. Your team sees every single thing that you let slide. And once they see that you're not going to deal with it, they are going to stop believing that you mean what you say. And that is a big, big problem when it comes to the salon business. Strong culture isn't built by having the perfect team or having the perfect vibe. It's built by consistency, by standards that actually mean something, by leadership that doesn't fold when it gets uncomfortable. Chandra, what do you do to really make sure that your leadership is holding the line at the same time not living in that gray area, right? But still having a culture where everybody feels comfortable and aligned and part of something bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is just black and white in a way, like you said. Like you've set a precedent, you've set a value or policies or things that are part of how you want that business to run. And you just have to stick to it no matter how exhausting it is. And I think when I started really doing that, I noticed a huge shift in my culture, and it gets easier because then the people that are in it are doing all those things for you. They're doing it on their own. They're helping make sure that everybody is, following the way that your culture is set up. And I think the biggest thing, for me is we keep an open door policy. We keep it very safe. We try to keep it so that, yeah, these are the things, these are the rules. If there's an issue, come talk to us. Like, we're not, it's black and white, but we're not mean about it. We're not crazy about it. We can have a conversation if somebody's upset. And I think having that sort of open door for your team helps keep it a happy environment. It keeps it a comfortable environment where people aren't walking around on eggshells, but they know when they did something wrong and we have to deal with it, right? Like it's not that big of a deal if you can set that kind of precedent, because they know. It's like, okay, you pull them in, what's going on? They're like, I know, I'm sorry. And we get over it and we move on. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I think that's the only way you can keep the peace and keep it under control.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And if you're out there listening and you've been realizing that the energy in your studio feels off, that your team is maybe pushing those limits, or that you've been leading from that people pleasing side instead of from standards, you have to know the good news is you can reset it, but it has to start with you. It cannot start with anything else. You are going to have to reestablish the standard. You have to reset the expectations. You have to hold that line even when it's really, really hard. I think a lot of times, Chandra, people think that because it's been this way for so long, there's never a way to reset it. In fact, we hear this from our members a lot, right? Like, I've let this slide so long. I don't know if I can ever get it back intact. And that is just not the reality. What would you say to the owner who is out there right now and they're realizing I've been the reason that my culture is slipping? Where would you advise them to even start?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just own it. You own it that it's been like that. You own it that you've been letting it slide, and you just be honest with your team and you be open about it and say, hey, these are the things that, we want for ourselves. This is how we want our company to be. These are the goals we want to hit. In order for us to do this, we have to level up, and, making them know that you want them on your team and that you want them to be part of it, knowing what that culture is, and then setting it and holding them accountable to it. And I think it is easy to reset it. And you might lose some people, but the people you're going to lose are going to be the people that aren't going to fit into your culture and are going to constantly fight you anyways. So you have to let go of that fear, and you have to just do it and grow the people you want to grow. And I think that's the biggest thing is I've reinvented ourselves so many times in the amount of years that I've had my business. My team, I come up with stuff all the time and I'm like, hey guys, guess what? We're going to change this. And they're just like, okay. But they always trust me, and they trust where I'm taking them and where we're going, and they want to be part of it. And so I think when you can build that and you get those right people to stay, you weed out the people that aren't going to be part of it. That's the easiest way to reinvent your team, to start over, to start implementing something if you haven't been doing it.
Well, and that's something that I really admire about you in your business is the culture that you've actually created. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about trust. Culture is a word that just gets thrown around in this industry. And you and I have talked about this a lot. We have the pleasure of talking with tons of commission salon and spa owners, and almost every single one of them come to us saying, our culture is stellar. And when we start pulling back those layers, we have to rip the band aid off and be like, your culture kind of sucks. Like, we're not being mean, but if you ever want to be able to step out of your business, to step into that CEO role, to not have to be in your business 24/7, you have to have that culture of trust and accountability. Because if you don't, you'll never be able to get there. Would you agree with that?
But yeah, 100%. Like that's probably the most important piece to actually getting that culture to stick.
Absolutely. So, for the salon and spa owners out there who think that they have a great culture, we're fixing to go through a few steps of how you can kind of start to reset it. But what would you tell them to really start maybe paying attention to in the immediate so they could see, okay, I think our culture is good, but is it really good?
Yeah, I think really defining what you want your culture to look like, and then just start observing like every day when you're there, are people actually doing and behaving in the way that you want it to be? Because that's when I think you start realizing they're not working at the expectation, or they're not working at the high level that I wanted, or they're saying things that like are not good to say in the salon, or starting drama. You don't always see those things until you start really defining what you want it to be and then paying attention to what's really going on.
Definitely. And I think one of the parts that we don't talk about enough is that we said this earlier, you're able to step into that CEO role, you're able to step outside of your business as the owner and do things. But I think when your culture is actually built on a solid foundation with expectations and everybody are, acting the same way and doing the same thing, this is how you grow 100K stylists because they know they're part of that culture, that vision, that mission, that dream, and they want to grow within that. Do you see that in your studio?
Oh yeah, 100%. They're excited about it. They want to be part of that, and they see the other team members doing that, and they know it's possible, and they know what they have to do by watching other team doing the things that we've set them up to do, and they grow really fast. So like I said, if you build it and you get the right people in there and they're following the way that you put it together, you don't have to do much anymore because they're on it.
Well, and it also affects client partnerships or relationships too, right? And this is a part that a lot of people miss. When your culture is intact, when it's stellar, when it's all of these things, the relationships with the clients change too. And the same way you weed out some of your stylists, you may have to weed out some of those clients. But clients start to respect you more, respect your time, respect your profession more. Have you found that as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Our clients come in and they're like, "We love the energy in here." All the team members will talk to them if they encounter them. Like, it's a fun place for them to come because the culture is so good. They feel part of the culture. They feel like they're part of what we're doing and how we are. They love it. And so, and you're right. Some people don't like that culture and they leave, and that's fine because we don't want to deal with them anyways. So it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you as the owner have to decide what you want your culture to be, and you have to choose people, clients, stylists, managers, everybody involved that are going to fit that culture for sure. If I were to ask you, Chandra, what the world thinks culture means, the salon world, how would you describe that? Like what they think it means?
I think they think it means it's like a big party. Like it's just like, hey, we have all these people and it's really fun and come work here because we're fun, but nobody's successful. It's like they don't see that other side of why you need to have things be solidified and organized. And I think they do. I think they think it's a big party because that's what we find when we start going into salons. It's like we have a great culture, and you go in and they're friends with the employees, but the employees are doing everything wrong and messing up the business, but they won't say anything because we're all friends. And I think it's a big party to many people in the industry.
Absolutely. So, as a coach to commission salon and spa owners or stylist in general, what would you say the definition of culture actually is?
I mean, I think it's a group of people or like I guess, culture. I'm trying to think of how you umbrella culture, but like the culture in your business, or it's like a group of people that are all working towards the same goal, that are all working together towards something bigger. And I think they drink the Kool-Aid, that's what we always say. We have our training immersion, we call it immersion into our culture when we first hire people. We're like, and I tell them straight up, you got to drink the Ohana Kool-Aid to work here. Like this is your brainwashing moment. And we're very straight up and honest. Like if you want to be here, you want to be growing. You got to be constantly into education. You've got to be a team player. Like you have to help. I don't care if you've been here for 5 minutes. I don't care if you've been here for 20 years. You're folding towels. You're sweeping hair. Like they have to understand that up front, because I think when you organize it that way, then everybody's working for the same thing, right? And when we have people that come in who aren't a team player, they say they are, and then they start working and they're not, we weed them out, because you have to be part of the bigger picture, and you have to be part of the whole thing, because it's the only way everybody's going to be successful and happy together. So I think when you define that culture, it's really everybody working towards the same goal, towards the same things. Everybody has their own personality, and that's great. You want people to have their own identity and authenticity and all that stuff, but you still want them to have those same core set of values and those same core things that you've created to be able to keep everybody moving in that same direction and working together. And I think that's when you have a really strong culture, is when everybody works together and they help each other out and they want the salon to do well, or the business to do well.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, in my opinion, and I know you feel the same way, it is what builds accountability and initiative within your stylist. And those are two things that we find salon owners complain about the most when it comes to their team members, right? They're never accountable and they have no initiative to want to do better. But when you build that culture the right way, those two things will automatically happen in a very natural way. So, let's talk about the steps that we walk our BBA members through inside of our squad success system. And we have seen this completely turn things around in a matter of weeks inside some of the salons that have used this. So, step number one, easy, say it straight. You can't fix what you don't call out. So, call a team meeting, not to scold, not to gripe, just be honest. Tell them what's off. Own the part that you have played by letting things slide, and then remind them from here on out, we're going to draw the line. It doesn't have to be some big motivational speech. You just need to be clear and calm in your leadership. Step number two is put it in writing. After the conversation, get it on paper, not some 20-page handbook that nobody's going to read, right? Just maybe a clear expectation sheet. Think of this as your standard reset sheet. That's kind of what we like to call it. Professionalism, client care, communication, accountability, all of those things kind of wrapped into one. When it's written down, it makes it not personal, it makes it policy. And that's what you need it to be. Everybody knows where that line is that you said you were going to hold. Step number three, and this is the hardest part for a lot of you guys, follow through. This is where most owners lose complete credibility. They talk about the new standards, they talk about the new systems, they talk about the new things, but they don't hold to them at all. So when somebody tests that, you have to be sure that you're holding it. You don't have to be harsh, you don't have to be mean, you don't have to be ugly, you just have to be consistent. That is the moment that your team is going to realize, oh crap, she is serious this time. So we better all really start to listen to what she's saying. Step number 4 is model it yourself. You cannot preach standards that you don't live by. You just can't. So you have to show up the way that you want your team to show up. You have to be on time. You have to be prepared. You have to keep your boundaries. When your team sees you walking it out, they are going to start following you a lot faster than you think. That's how culture really starts to shift. It's not from so many people think they need all of these things to reset their culture. It's really, really simple. And it doesn't come from empty threats. You have to remember that. It comes from calm, clear leadership that actually follows through. Chandra, what is one thing that you've seen owners have to maybe unlearn if they want to stop people pleasing and finally lead their culture with confidence?
Yeah, I mean, I think they just have to also, well, just start doing it themselves. Like, I think that's like what you were saying, but I feel like that's what I see all the time is they set the precedent and then they don't do it, but they expect everyone else to do it, or they don't understand the level of commitment it takes to actually make this happen, because you can't just set it, say it, have a meeting, whatever, and then just let it go. Like, I think they have to unlearn that they're part of it. They have to be the ones to show up, to do it, to for the someone to follow and model after. And I think that's the biggest thing I see all the time is they get excited, like rah rah rah, and then it's like, yeah, they don't do it. So it's, how can you expect your team to fall in line?
Yeah, 100%. And for some reason that I don't know any of us will ever truly understand, people pleasing is what 90% of salon owners are, right? They are just people pleasers. But we say this on this podcast all the time. You have to look at other businesses. If you want your business to run like another business, you have to look at other businesses and other professions. That is not the way that leaders do. It's not the way that owners do. It's not the way that CEOs run. It's just not. And so you've got to be sure that you can give your team everything that they want, need, and desire. You really can, but you can't do it in a people pleasing way. You have to do it in the right way. All right. Before we close out, let's get to this week's listener question. The question is, Chandra, what do you do when your business is growing, but you don't feel successful as the owner? Everybody sees the wins that you're having, but behind the scenes, you still know deep in your heart that it's messy and it's exhausting.
I mean, I guess that I would say, like, what do you want your business to be? What does that look like for you? And if it's like that on the outside but not on the inside, you just have to start putting that together and decide, organize your life, organize yourself, and figure out what you want. I think sometimes when you feel like that, it's not always as bad as you think. Like, if things are running as good on the outside, it's like it's internally you kind of are making your own mess. But I think that, sometimes you just have to pause. You got to figure out what you want and see if it's actually, that way on the outside too, because it could be. I don't, I mean, I feel like that's what I do, because I feel like that a lot. I'm like, things are looking great, but I still just feel like crap. And I feel like I'm not doing what I could be doing or want to be doing. So I think it's like, take a pause and figure out exactly what it is, be grateful for the things that are going well and just try to figure out what's not, and figure out what you need to do to fix that.
Percent. I would also say that something that I see a lot is growth without structure is always going to feel like chaos. It really is. That's why so many owners out there, they hit their highest numbers right when they feel like the most burnt out, right? If you're still doing everything, if every decision has to run through you, if you don't have systems of leadership layers, bigger numbers are just going to mean bigger problems. They really are. That doesn't mean that you're failing. You're doing good things, like Chandra said. It's just proof that maybe the version of your business that got you to where you are now is not going to be able to take you further. So it's not like you need to work harder. You just need more structure inside of your business. You need those systems, the accountability, you need support. That is what makes growth feel sustainable. And I think we miss that part quite often. All right, guys, if you've been listening today and you are realizing that your culture has been running you instead of the other way around, this is your sign to hit that reset button. You don't have to burn everything down. For some people, for some reason, people think that a reset means just starting completely over from scratch. That's not what it sometimes, yes, but that's not always what it has to be, right? You just need to start leading again, leading in the right way, clearly, calmly, consistently, professionally, all of those things. And if you want some help walking through exactly how to do that, we've got you. We have what we call our Squad Success mini class. It will take you through step by step on how to reset your team, how to rebuild your standards, and how to really create a culture that's actually going to stick without feeling like you're burning everything to the ground and having to start over from scratch. You guys can go, you can grab that right now at www.thebeautybizagency.com. While you're there, make sure that you grab some of our free resources, check out our coaching options, and look at our store. We have built tools for every stage of salon and spa ownership. Chandra, what's one thing that you want every owner to stop tolerating in their culture after listening to this episode?
I mean, I would just pinpoint probably one of your biggest values and start making sure that that's happening and stop tolerating anything that is not aligned with that and just start with one or two little things and just that's not what we do here anymore. So we're going to stop doing that and make sure you hold yourself accountable and make sure you hold your team accountable.
Yep, I agree. All right, guys, if this episode spoke to you or it helped you out, make sure that you share it with another salon owner who needs it. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review so other owners can find us. Also, make sure that you are subscribed so you never miss out on what we have coming up next. Chandra, how can they keep up with everything we have going on at the Beauty Biz Agency?
Yeah, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the Beauty Biz Agency or on TikTok at the Beauty Biz Mentors and check out our live Q&A session that we do the first Monday of every month on Facebook and YouTube at 6 p.m. Central Time.
Awesome. That's a wrap, guys. You've been listening to the station where salon owners stop babysitting and start leading like the CEOs they were meant to be. Until next time, set the standard, protect your culture, and stop building your business around trying to keep the peace for everybody involved. Now go out there, make bank, run the show, and ditch that chair. And as always, keep slaying those business goals with a whole lot of swagger.